Castle of Black Iron. By Drunken Tiger. Chapter 321, One Movement, One Scenery. Not knowing how long he had practiced on the quincuncial piles, after being immersed in that bizarre situation, Zhang Tai felt pleased as he opened his eyes. He then knew that a great amount of people in the training room were watching him. Among them, besides his senior sisters who guided him in the morning and some men who he didn't know, he caught sight of Lan Yunxi. The moment he saw her, Zhang Tai seemed to notice a halo on her as the entire world became alive. In a split second, the empty land in his memory was fulfilled once again. Only after 1 day since he left Lan Yunxi's image had been obscure in his mind again. Therefore, Zhang Tai felt that he had not seen her for several years. With eyes fixed on Zhang Tai, nobody uttered, especially Zhang Tai's martial sisters. They looked like they had seen a ghost. Even Lan Yunxi's eyes became a bit surprised. What a mighty iron-blood fist. One of those strange men let out a long sigh with a smile on his face. Mighty, glancing over the metal hydraulic columns which fell down like daisies being destroyed by heavy wind, Zhang Tai also became shocked. At the last moment when he was immersed in that situation just now, Zhang Tai even felt that those quincuncial piles under his feet became surplus. They were just like broken stones on the road. He just kicked them away casually and broke them into pieces. When he woke up, he found that he was already standing on the ground. Each of the metal hydraulic columns being connected to the power equipment in the room weighed a few tons. Although they were not completely solid, they were as firm as robust trees. Those metal hydraulic columns twisted and lay down around Zhang Tai in radial patterns, forming a weird scene. As a result, the oil in the broken metal hydraulic columns slowly flowed over the ground. Zhang Tai lowered his head and found that some liquid almost reached his feet. He hurriedly jumped away. Zhang Tai, what happened to you just now? Kaidai said you found some insights. What have you got? Ma Yun was straightforward. Seeing Zhang Tai walking over there, she opened her mouth first. I don't know, said Zhang Tai, scratching his head. Zhang Tai became a bit bashful. Just now, he truly had realized something, however, it was pure subjective experience which could not be described. That was why it could not be easily realized. You don't know? Widening her eyes, Ma Yun added, how come? I really don't know how to describe it. I only felt something pour out of my inner heart. This brought me a strange experience. I don't know what I've realized. What experience? Gu Kaidai asked out of curiosity. Some girls who guided Zhang Tai had not received any experience on finding the insight at all. Therefore, they all wondered what Zhang Tai had experienced. Not only them, even those beside him were watching Zhang Tai full of curiosity, including Lan Yunxi. Such a sharing on finding the insight and experience would be beneficial to everyone's cultivation. Even though they could not realize like Zhang Tai, at least they could understand how such insight would change a person and provide a rare, beneficial experience and reference to their cultivation. How to say? Zhang Tai tried to recall that feeling. Noticing that even Lan Yunxi was interested in this, Zhang Tai thought for a while before he tried to put it in a clearer way. No need to put your focus on using adjectives, simply tell us about your true feeling. That man who said just now uttered again. Zhang Tai glanced at that man and found he looked a bit similar to Lan Yunxi. He then immediately assumed the status of that man. He should at least be Lan Yunxi's relative or elder, instead of her dad. Zhang Taishan, the Count Long Wind, Lan Yunxi's dad, was the head of Zhang clan. He was so powerful and busy every day, he would never waste time to talk with him. Even if he wanted to marry her daughter to Zhang Tai, he didn't need to be that hurried. Although he was not Zhang Taishan, this man looked so majestic and gentle, which reminded Zhang Tai that he was definitely not an average person. No crap, Lan Yunxi's dad and mom are all great figures with powerful family background. How could her relative and elder be average? Zhang Tai swore him inside. Seeing the man treating him pretty kindly, Zhang Tai also nodded at him with a friend's smile. This man's words truly reminded Zhang Tai that language and vocabulary were not important. What was important was the true insight and feeling. After thinking for a short while, Zhang Tai had already understood that feeling. At the beginning, I felt something coming out of my heart. It seemed to be an incessant force which kept pouring out like a spring. Yes, like a spring. I felt that I became a spring myself. The spring gradually converged into a pond. The spring flowed out of the pond and started to naturally flow among mountains. It then turned into a stream, which felt so jubilant among mountains. Not only this, I even felt pretty free. I enjoyed the scenery that I passed by. The scenery kept changing at all time, which was really impressive. You say you became a spring and a stream when you practiced on quincuncial piles? You felt jubilant while flowing down the mountain and enjoying scenery on the way? What the hell is that? Those girls didn't understand this insight, which made them admirable. Although those girls didn't understand, the 50-year-old man beside Lan Yunqi knew it as a wisp of amazement flashed across his eyes. If that's true, it must be the one movement, one scenery level. One movement, one scenery? Zhang Tai recalled and found that was similar to his experience. By the end, he felt like enjoying different scenery with each movement. Martial sister Shi, could you introduce this? Zhang Tai looked at Lan Yunqi as he asked. When Zhang Tai turned towards her, Lan Yunqi's heart truly raced. Based on Zhang Tai's character, if he called her Yunqi in a shameless way, she didn't even know how to explain to the fourth uncle. When she saw Zhang Tai behaving that politely, she swore him be *********** inside. She could even feel that Zhang Tai was making grimace towards her inside. This is my fourth uncle. He's coming for you today. After slightly recovering composure, Lan Yunqi made a brief introduction. Let's talk about it outside. It smells bad here. Zhang Tai looked at Lan Yunqi's fourth uncle. The odor of the hydraulic oil started to gradually volatilize, which made people uncomfortable. They then left the training room together. Knowing that Zhang Tai would leave, Ma Yun and the other girls could only bid farewell to Zhang Tai. Senior sisters, please wait a minute, thanks for your guidance to me these days. I feel that I could pass the test on fundamental movements. Please accept it now. Zhang Tai smiled. Are you ready to attend the test now? When Gu Kaidai asked, all the others who were walking out of the training field stopped. Without saying anything, Zhang Tai directly rushed to the front of the 100m test passage. He instantly jumped onto the quincuncial piles which were extending and shrinking and started to jump on them rapidly. Right then, there were still many people who were trying to pass the 100m long passage of quincuncial piles which were constantly changing. In every second, someone would be shot down from the top of the piles into the water pool. The moment Zhang Tai stood on a quincuncial pile, a high-pressure water column had shot towards him. Zhang Tai smiled and leisurely walked one step aside to evade it. When Zhang Tai first saw this test passage on fundamental movements, Zhang Tai felt that this test was too hard. However, at this moment, the passage was like a plain road for him, while each point on the top of each quincuncial pile was a geometrical plane which could be extended without any limit. Point is zero-dimensional, moving point would form a line, which was one-dimensional, moving line would form a plane which was two-dimensional, moving plane would form body, which was three-dimensional, moving body would form a four-dimensional universal time, space, and the world. When in movement, all the solid items could be extended, all the existences would be composed of multiple factors. When you split this multiple-dimensional time and space to the final analysis, everything could be split into one point, which was hard to understand. It could be zero, it could be empty, it could be the root of everything in the universe. Although this passage was still the same one, Zhang Tai changed, therefore, this passage changed in Zhang Tai's eyes. As Zhang Tai's heart changed, his cognition about this world also changed. This indicated a different level. One movement, one scenery was an advanced level, like seeing a plain road out of thorns and a scenery out of fire, which could not be described. At this moment, in Zhang Tai's eyes, the numerous quincuncial piles with different lengths had become different levels of planes which were extended in front of him. The road was under his feet. There were numerous roads, which connected one by another. No matter where they reached, there was always a place for Zhang Tai to stand on. He could even make a way out of no way. Everything that he saw on the way were just roadside scenery. In a split second, the fierce high-pressure water columns became fine drizzles in the sky with a sort of complaint. Including Lan Yunqi and the senior girls who were guiding Zhang Tai, their eyes all radiated gleaming light. At this moment, Zhang Tai was like a poet. In a white suit, Zhang Tai wandered in a long alley. He held an umbrella in the fine drizzle and seemed wanting to encounter a lady with lilac fragrance. The other guys who were gritting their teeth on the test passage were like laborers in the mud. Compared to Zhang Tai, who was like a prince, they were like paupers. After reading the end of the passage, Zhang Tai raised his eyebrows and revealed his teeth with a sexy smile. Zhang Tai's nice image in the girls' minds broke apart at once. Peh, still a rogue. Lan Yunqi swore at him inside. Chapter 322, To be a Castle Lord. After leaving the training field, Zhang Tai felt pretty good. Knowing that he had something to deal with, Gu Kaidai and the other martial girls bade farewell to Zhang Tai before they left too. Zhang Tai's performance in the test passage had justified that he could pass the test on fundamental movements successfully. Zhang Tai didn't need to come here in the future. According to Ma Ayun and the other martial girls, the course of fundamental movements was the most difficult one among all the compulsory courses. Most of the people in Breaking Heaven's department had passed the test on fundamental movements in half a year to 1 year. They had not expected that Zhang Tai could pass it in just a bit over 2 months. Although this was not the fastest, it could only be achieved by a minority of people in the Breaking Heavens department. Who's the fastest one to pass the test on fundamental movements? Zhang Tai asked Ma Ayun while the latter looked at Lan Yunqi with a smile. Zhang Tai then understood. Outside the training field, they separated from each other. Martial sisters, your vials of medicament will arrive in 1 week. Don't forget to come for me by then. We might not get enough money by then. Gu Kaidai explained, we might not take too much from you at the beginning. In Breaking Heaven's department, as each one had to submit 30 gold coins as the monthly fee, most of the girls could not save much, therefore, although they intended to do this business, they felt bashful about that. No problem, you can take away the medicament first and sell them before paying me back. Zhang Tai put it generously. That's great. You can take 200 vials of medicament first. If you cannot sell all of them, you can return them back to me. Just have a try. If this works, we can stick to this way in the future, if not, just take it as a joke. Gu Kaiyun then exchanged glances with the other girls as they were all moved by Zhang Tai's words. They knew that although Zhang Tai was careless and shameless sometimes, he was very considerate. Now that Zhang Tai had presented such a condition for them, he had obviously considered their situation quite well. He almost pushed a great opportunity in front of them. The girls were very reserved. They were not good at expressing their own emotions, especially when there were strangers present. After deeply gazing at Zhang Tai with a thank you, the girls then left. Lan Yunqi's fourth uncle didn't talk. Seeing that Zhang Tai had sold 200 vials of medicament in such a short while, he realized that Zhang Tai had truly mastered the method of producing large-scale all-purpose medicaments. After the girls left, Lan Yunqi's fourth uncle put it straightforwardly to Zhang Tai about his status and his purpose. Zhang Tai Bai, Lan Yunqi's fourth uncle, a younger brother of Zhang Taixian, the Count Long Wind, a director of Long Wind Business Group, such a status really shocked Zhang Tai. You mean Long Wind Business Group wants to cooperate with me? Zhang Tai glanced at this 50-year-old man who looked noble and privileged. It was really out of his imagination that all-purpose medicament could attract the attention of such a great organization. As all-purpose medicament has many applications. If you could realize mass production, we can cooperate. But if you could only produce a few, I'm afraid that you would not meet the demands of Long Wind Business Group. Zhang Tai smiled. Of course, Zhang Tai knew this. For such a great organization, whose clients were great powers and countries, even thousands or tens of thousands of vials of all-purpose medicament definitely could not meet its basic demands. A business of only tens of thousands of gold coins was not worth the travel of a director of Long Wind Business Group at all. Wui. If I can realize mass production, I wonder how long Wind Business Group will cooperate with me. When talking, they wandered around the Breaking Heavens department, where it was tranquil and full of warbles and the fragrance of flowers, which made the atmosphere most suitable. While Zhang Tie headed with Lan Yunqi and Zhang Tai, his bodyguards were following them at a distance. Feeling Zhang Tai's eyes glancing over her stealthily, Lan Yunqi had to pretend that nothing had happened, as she didn't want her fourth uncle to know about that special thing between her and Zhang Tai. I heard you are using a secret recipe to produce the all-purpose medicament? If you wish, the Long Wind Business Group is prepared to purchase your secret recipe. Zhang Tai put it straightly, the price won't disappoint you. Zhang Tai revealed a smile. If it was before, he would definitely have been moved by this proposal. Previously, he only wanted to get essential energy Reiki yeast, which had reproductive ability. However, after knowing the value of the all-purpose medicament, of course, he would never do such a stupid thing by killing the goose that lays the golden eggs. I don't intend to sell the secret recipe. Zhang Tai took it seriously as he didn't make any compromise to Zhang Taibai's status and the relationship between Zhang Taibai and Lan Yunqi. This time, Zhang Tai's shred and crisp attitude caught Lan Yunqi's attention, who stared at him with amazement. This guy is decisive when he's not being shameless. Lan Yunqi mumbled inside. No more consideration? Zhang Tai's direct attitude shocked Zhang Taibai a bit. Zhang Tai had refused him even without asking the price. This answer indicates that he either doesn't like money or has a trump card. Zhang Taibai thought for a second. However, considering Zhang Tai's age and his behavior in the Breaking Heavens department recently, it would never be the first reason. How about taking a look at the place where I produce the all-purpose medicament? Zhang Tai didn't answer Zhang Taibai's question directly. Instead, he proposed a suggestion which Zhang Taibai would never refuse. Zhang Taibai's main purpose was to figure out Zhang Tai's ability to produce all-purpose medicament. If Zhang Tai was really capable of mass production of all-purpose medicament, Zhang Tai's value had to be appraised once again. Lan Yunqi was also curious about where Zhang Tai produced the all-purpose medicament, so she didn't refuse this proposal either. They soon arrived at the Poria Cocos Park. When the girls were here, they didn't know Zhang Tai was producing all-purpose medicament here. Therefore, strictly, it was Zhang Tai's first time guiding people to visit his plant for producing all-purpose medicament. Previously Zhang Taibai and Lan Yunqi thought that Zhang Tai would guide them to the lab. It was really beyond their imagination that Zhang Tai would guide them to a warehouse in the Poria Cocos Park. Because it was daytime, with light casting through ground glass and metal protective nets in the windows on one side of the warehouse, the entire warehouse felt clean and refreshing. At the beginning, Zhang Taibai and Lan Yunqi didn't connect the 100 huge, tidily arranged tranches with Zhang Tai's all-purpose medicament. However, they looked around and saw nothing else but those tranches. Then they became startled. Is that all-purpose medicament in these tranches? Not only Lan Yunqi, even Zhang Taibai was stunned. Even Zhang Taibai had not seen such a shocking scene before. Not now, you have to wait 2 months longer, said Zhang Tai calmly, revealing a smile. Zhang Taibai took a deep breath as he stared at Zhang Tai with gleaming eyes. He looked so serious. Can I have a look? As you will. Zhang Taibai then casually walked in front of a huge tranche and opened its lid. In a split second, a refreshing fragrance had drifted throughout the warehouse. The moment he smelt it, he became spirited. Although the super enzyme had not been fermented well, it had already started to give off its unique fragrance. After observing the solution in one tranche, Zhang Taibai moved to another and started to check inside seriously once again. Noticing that Zhang Taibai had been attracted by those tranches, Lan Yunqi felt it unimaginable. Zhang Tai took a look around and found that there were only 3 people in the entire warehouse. Zhang Taibai's 2 bodyguards didn't follow them in. Instead, they were guarding outside the gate of the Poria Cocos Park. Therefore, Zhang Tai silently stretched out his hand and held Lan Yunqi's delicate hand. The moment Lan Yunqi realized her hand was held by Zhang Tai, her face blushed at once. She attempted to shake off Zhang Tai's hand stealthily, and yet she couldn't. Therefore, she could only wait for Zhang Tai bashfully and told him by mouthing slyly, "Be asterisk starred, let go of me." Zhang Tai smiled pleasantly as he continued to firmly hold Lan Yunqi's hand. Lan Yunqi's hand was delicate, a bit icy and fragrant. Zhang Tai just did as he pleased and kept holding her hand in this way. As his beloved girl was right in front of him, if he was not even brave enough to hold her hand, how could he marry her? Zhang Tai was feeling pleasant too early. As Lan Yunqi stomped directly onto his feet. "Arg!" Zhang Tai shrieked, while Lan Yunqi hurriedly shook her hand out of his. Zhang Tai turned round from behind the pile of tranches. "What happened?" They both pretended nothing had happened. "Arg, I just remembered suddenly that 2 tranches had been well fermented. You can have a try. This thing tastes not bad." Zhang Tai covered that painful expression with a forced smile. Lan Yunqi couldn't help but snigger. Only Zhang Tai could pick up the hint of pleasure in her smile. "Now that junior brother Zhang Tai mentions it, we will have a try then," she said. "Fine, wait a minute please, I will go get some cups." When turning round, Zhang Tai slightly gritted his teeth towards Lan Yunqi while she rolled her eyes towards him. Zhang Tai had soon fetched some cups. He came directly to the 2 tranches that he had filled with the well-fermented super enzyme. The moment he opened one of them, the special and refreshing fragrance in the warehouse instantly increased more than 10 times. Zhang Tai lifted 2 bamboo dippers out of the tranche and filled them into 2 big cups, each of which contained 300 to 400 milliliters. Zhang Tai got 1 cup for himself too. "Have a try, it tastes good." Zhang Tai gave 1 cup to Zhang Tai and Lan Yunqi respectively. Actually, Zhang Tai and Lan Yunqi had not tasted all-purpose medicament before. With only a sniff, they both felt very comfortable. Without any hesitation, Zhang Tai took a mouthful of it. His eyes gleamed. He then had another mouthful of it. "Martial sister, have a try. Super enzyme is a top beauty product. It could beautify your skin and delay aging. As you are so beautiful, you have to maintain yourself well. Your husband would like that." Zhang Tai pretended to be serious. "Yunqi, have a try, it really tastes special." Zhang Tai also suggested. Lan Yunqi also knew that a filthy mouth could not utter any decent language. After glaring at Zhang Tai, she couldn't help but have a sip. In a split second, Lan Yunqi's furrowed eyebrows stretched out. She had not imagined that a villain like Zhang Tai could produce such a yummy enzyme. This might be the best drink that she had drunk since she was born. Zhang Tai bottomed up and licked his lips. He then looked at Zhang Tai. Zhang Tai then got another cup for him while reminding him, "You might be drunk if you drink too much. Take care of it." "Have you been drunk?" "Once, but it also feels very comfortable when you're drunk. When you wake up, you will feel fully energetic and as strong as a tiger." After having another 2 mouthfuls of it, Zhang Tai watched Zhang Tai seriously as he sighed, "I finally know why you would not transfer the secret knowledge. Because nobody would see a gold mine for only a few gold coins. How much all-purpose medicament do you have in the warehouse?" "About 11 to 12 tons. Zhang Tai seriously answered, "They could be filled into more than 110,000 vials of all-purpose medicament." "Do you know their value?" "Previously I didn't know, but now I know a bit." Zhang Tai smiled as he pointed at those tranches and said in a calm way, 2 months later, their market price would vary from 600,000 to 1 million gold coins. Hearing Zhang Tai's words, even Lan Yunqi couldn't stand but glance at Zhang Tai. Born in such a great clan, of course she knew more about the value and power of gold coins. 600,000 gold coins was not a small amount of money anywhere. It could even heavily armed infantry. The status of the first place on the Hidden Dragon wealth list was only more than 200,000 gold coins. "How much could you produce? Do you have difficulty in production?" Hearing this question, Zhang Tai, who had long prepared for this question, didn't tell him all the truth. Actually, Zhang Tai could produce as much as possible without any obstacle. In another word, with sufficient raw materials, namely various fruits, I could probably produce 400 to 600 tons. As it will consume a lot of energy and physical strength, this amount has reached my physical limit. The 2 tranches of all-purpose medicament were catalyzed in a special way. I only have these 2 well fermented. You can catalyze them as you will? Theoretically, I can catalyze a few super enzymes first, but I will never do that again as this catalysis almost drove me mad and heavily destroyed my Reiki. Zhang Tai said in a frightening way, which looked like he truly had catalyzed the 2 tranches of all-purpose medicament. Actually, catalysis is shit. Even if he had castle of black iron, Zhang Tai would not be able to shorten the fermenting time of essential energy Reiki yeast. He said this to stop this from happening again. Hearing Zhang Tai's words, Zhang Tai nodded. With the ability to produce at least 400 tons of all-purpose medicament, Zhang Tai was qualified to cooperate with Long Wind Business Group. It's a worthwhile travel. Zhang Tai is truly able to produce all-purpose medicament on a large scale. I think we can talk further about cooperation now. Zhang Tai smiled. I'm able to produce all-purpose medicament on a large scale while Long Wind Business Group has existing channels and markets. We have both the opponent's demands. If the conditions are suitable, I would be pleased to collaborate with Long Wind Business Group. Zhang Tai expressed his intention in a kind way. We need to confirm the quality of your mass production of all-purpose medicament. As for the first purchase, we might not order too much, only 20,000 vials. No problem, you can get your products in 2 months. 6 gold coins per vial. You can return them once you find any problem with them. Zhang Tai was very confident. If there's no problem with the 20,000 vials and your ability for mass production of all-purpose medicament is verified, we will order much more in the future. How much? At least 2 million vials a year. Zhang Tai pointed at Zhang Tai's warehouse. This site is too small and could not meet the demands of Long Wind Business Group. On the premise of maintaining the quality of all-purpose medicament, we hope that your manufacturing scale could be expanded. Considering its multiple effects, in the end, the market demand of this medicament would be an astronomical figure. Therefore, we need to prepare for mass production in advance. Zhang Tai smiled. Why not build a base for producing all-purpose medicament on the Hidden Dragon Island? Okay, the production base will be prepared by the Long Wind Business Group. It will be built on the Hidden Dragon Island. We will cooperate on the mass production. Long Wind Business Group will be responsible for selling the medicament, but we need to have shares. Zhang Tai's eyes radiated shrewd light. I will build the production base by myself and I will not transfer the shares. Although Long Wind Business Group can be a main dealer, you are not exclusive. I can have at most 4 main dealers. But I will not provide Long Wind Business Group with less than 2 million vials of all-purpose medicament. My supply price to you will not be higher than those to other main dealers. Zhang Tai gazed at Zhang Tai with a frown. He had not imagined that Zhang Tai was that shrewd. He was not like a 16 to 17-year-old teenager at all. Instead, he was more like an experienced businessman, who cared too much on key problems and reacted so fast. After thinking for a while, Zhang Tai said, a safe and highly efficient production base requires much money. Now that we've determined to cooperate with each other, we need to build the production base right now. Otherwise, the supply would not catch up and would cause the loss of so many opportunities. Right, you can loan me the money. I will take the payment of medicament as the mortgage. I will use your loan and entrust you to build the production base for me. But I have the right of say, that's my medicament. Zhang Tai pretended to be very serious. Compared to the Long Wind Business Group's concern about the quality of the mass production of all-purpose medicament, Zhang Tai was full of confidence and felt nothing to be concerned about. If you don't like that, you can wait for a while. When I sell out this batch of products, I will have money to build the production base myself. But it will take me several more months. We can talk about the cooperation by then. Given the reputation of Long Wind Business Group, the conditions that we have reached will remain unchanged. You really don't want to transfer the shares of the production base? Will Huayuan Palace transfer its shares of the plant where they produce crossbows and rune equipment? Hearing this, Zhang Tai refuted at once. How could an emperor allow his opponents to sleep beside him? 1. Zhang Tai would definitely master the full rite of mass production of all-purpose medicament. Nobody else was allowed to interrupt. He didn't want to listen to others' orders on distributing medicament. Especially for powerful cooperators like Long Wind Business Group, if they were responsible for the production and sale of all-purpose medicament, he would lose his real control over it. If Donder knew that Zhang Tai was satisfied with only a few gold coins by being a senior employee of others when he could produce all-purpose medicament by himself, he would definitely jump from the ground and slap him sharply. In terms of tactics, he definitely could not defeat Long Wind Business Group. Therefore, Zhang Tai didn't spare any chances for them at the beginning. Although stockpiling goods before sale was not a shrewd pattern, it worked at least for rare commodities. Zhang Tai watched Zhang Tai expressionlessly while Zhang Tai looked straight into his eyes without any cowardice. They then stared at each other for half a minute in the warehouse in this way. Zhang Tai's chi became stronger. Even Lan Yunqi on the side could feel the repressive, intense atmosphere in the warehouse. Zhang Tai's performance at this moment was totally different than how he was in Lan Yunqi's eyes before. Comparing Zhang Tai's shrewd, experienced and powerful look in front of her fourth uncle to the shameless guy in front of her, Lan Yunqi felt a strange feeling surging her heart. All-purpose medicament is a gold mine. Too many people would have a peep inside. Without the help of Long Wind Business Group, are you sure you can maintain the gold mine? Zhang Tai asked calmly after a long while. Right now, because of this, for the sake of Huayuan Palace's Zhang clan and the long-term cooperation between us, I don't agree with Long Wind Business Group having its shares. I don't like suffering a loss or letting others interfere with my personal affairs. Zhang Tai understood Zhang Tai's words at once. He then considered the outcome that Zhang Tai is concerned about might also happen. The more profitable the business is, the more dangerous it would be. Zhang clan is an interesting community, under which each one has his or her own pursuit for interest. Besides me and my children, I swear that nobody else would be able to master the secret knowledge of all-purpose medicament in this world. Hearing Zhang Tai's second sentence, Zhang Tai fixed his eyes on Zhang Tai for over 10 seconds. Zhang Tai then suddenly smiled. Now that you are sticking to it, as you will be responsible for the production base. I will have someone here to talk about the details on the cooperation. Are you selling this? Yes. That's fine. Zhang Tai nodded as he suddenly shouted loudly, Ada. A bodyguard of Zhang Tai suddenly appeared at the gate of the warehouse like a spirit. Zhang Tai pointed at that huge tranche which Zhang Tai had opened and ordered, take it away. That person walked over and instantly grabbed away the huge 100-kilogram tranche. Zhang Tai was stunned. What are you doing? Zhang Tai looked at Zhang Tai in a dignified way as he put his hand onto Zhang Tai's shoulder. You told me you were selling this, no kidding in business. But what? Zhang Tai pulled out a gold ticket and patted it onto Zhang Tai's hand. I bought this tranche. After saying that, before Zhang Tai made any response, he told his bodyguard, Ada, hurry up, carry it onto the airship. Hearing his words, Ada disappeared from the warehouse like a spirit once again, of course, together with that huge 100-kilogram tranche. Watching that gold ticket of 20,000 gold coins, Zhang Tai felt like crying as he had not imagined that Lan Yunqi's fourth uncle could play this trick. But his generosity really shocked Zhang Tai as he spent 20,000 gold coins simply like how Zhang Tai spent 2 gold coins. He didn't even blink his eyes by doing that. F***ck, it's 20,000 gold coins, 20,000 gold coins, arg. Rich big figures all seem to be very busy all day. After leaving Zhang Tai's Poria Coco's park, Zhang Tai left by his airship. The moment Zhang Tai's airship left, Lan Yunqi didn't dare to stay one more second in front of a lecherous guy like Zhang Tai. Without even sparing Zhang Tai a chance to utter a word, she immediately jumped onto the treetop and disappeared from Zhang Tai's vision in the blink of an eye. Seeing off Lan Yunqi's shadow, Zhang Tai became so depressed. Long Wind Business Group's work efficiency was seen in the same afternoon. Only several hours after Zhang Tai left, Long Wind Business Group had assigned a team to build the production base on the hidden Dragon Island. When the director of the team spread out a number of building maps for the production base in front of Zhang Tai became dumbfounded as those maps were castle's blueprints which had powerful defense abilities. I'm going to be a castle lord? Now Zhang Tai became hyper. Chapter 323, Construction. The largest difference between Chinese castles and Western castles was that Western castle buildings usually had spires, while Chinese castles were always featured with flank corner towers with extended lofty and heavy eaves. Of course, in this age, Chinese castles were built with the same architectural materials and armed defense functions. The whole castle was composed of an exterior wall, barbican, battlements, bartisans, entrenchments, suspension bridges, and steam-driven power units. The entire castle occupied over 30,000 square meters, which included the predominant building of over 10,000 square meters and an airship port of over 20,000 square meters. The building location of the castle was at the foot of the Yunju mountain, which neighbored the White Dragon town. The whole castle required 460,000 gold coins which would be loaned to Zhang Tai by the bank affiliated to Long Wind Business Group. Zhang Tai entrusted the professional construction team of Long Wind Business Group to build it. Zhang Tai needed to discuss the fundamental functions of the castle with the professional building team and posed his own requirements and opinions on this castle. Thus, the professional team chose 3 locations for Zhang Tai, and he then chose Yunju Mountain as the last location. Additionally, he signed 2 official agreements with Long Wind Business Group. One was the loan agreement, while the other was the commissioned construction agreement on the castle. After they signed the 2 agreements, on the same afternoon, the construction team of over 600 people had already arrived at the Yunju Mountain on the Hidden Dragon Island by a huge airship and were quartered there where they started the survey work with a great amount of construction instruments. By the way, not until then did Zhang Tai know that not everybody had the right to construct buildings on the Hidden Dragon Island. Besides the permanent residents on the island, who could apply to build houses and some facilities in the towns, only the clan students of Hidden Dragon Palace were allowed to buy land and construct buildings. That was how the Hidden Dragon Island developed. The land of over 200,000 square meters on the Yunju Mountain costed Zhang Tai more than 18,000 gold coins, which was really expensive. In other places he could have even bought several hundreds of thousands of square meters of mountain forest and land, or even some mountains as a whole with this amount of money. In this age, much land outside the city walls was not valuable, especially in some underdeveloped regions. Take Blackhot City as an example. So many black regions on the map surrounding the Blackhot City had no owners. Anyone, if powerful, could build a castle over there, even a city if they wanted. However, at this moment, Zhang Tai was immersing himself in the pleasure of having his own castle. Therefore he didn't care about the land price at all. Additionally, recently whenever Zhang Tai thought that he could have a castle of his own, he would become delusional and feel that everything in front of him was not real. Zhang Tai had never imagined that the inconspicuous essential energy Reiki yeast could change his life so greatly. Thinking of the little earthworms, golden wings, and those cheapest sand-scale fish, Zhang Tai was instantly filled with awe about Mother Nature and its creator. In this world, nothing was trivial and worthless. This was what enlightened Zhang Tai these days. With this enlightenment, Zhang Tai now wondered how even a humble yeast or earthworm had a special ability to change the world. What special abilities were human beings, the wisest of all creatures, granted by the Creator? Zhang Tai wondered whether each person had a super ability, which they were born with. For instance, earthworms were born with super great vitality and antitoxic ability, golden wings were born to be able to carry substances which were thousands of times heavier than their own weight, while essential energy Reiki yeasts were born to be able to complete the fermentation of super enzymes. Nobody taught them how to do that, but they knew how. They were their instincts. Were human beings born to have some special ability or instinct, which could change the world? Was this instinct a unique symbol of a person who was born to be able to use it like taking breaths, and did that make human beings above the other creatures? People are always more advanced than small creatures like earthworms, golden wings, and yeasts, Zhang Tai speculated. Zhang Tai thought that if people didn't have such a special ability, this didn't conform with the universal law. Of course, great creatures should be matched with super talents. What if people were granted with this ability? Why had he not heard about it? In this age, even in the age before the catastrophe, most people learned talents from schools and other places. Nobody had performed any super talent which they were born with. What was the reason for this? Is it that human beings are the exceptions of the universal law, or had they forgotten that they had such special talents? Zhang Tai had a great imagination and curiosity, but he didn't like to get into a dead end. Although he could not get the answer now, Zhang Tai didn't prepare to make blind and disorderly conjectures all day long. Instead, he just buried it in his mind like a bookmark with a question mark. Were human beings born with super talents in a book which was put back into the bookcase? Zhang Tai found that his castle was gradually appearing on the Yunju mountain at a rapid speed with the efforts of a great number of architectural experts. On the third day since the construction team arrived at the Yunju mountain, under the booming sounds of a great number of locomobiles, the land of a simple airship port was cleared out. After that, the construction team paved 2 tracks by 2 railed cranes in different sizes. After that, a great batch of airships flew over there every day and directly loaded off great loads of building materials. When the simple airship port was finished, under the same booms of locomobiles, the foundation of the castle was completed in 4 days. After that, the construction team paved the prefabricated foundation steel components on the foundation before they poured in professional quick-drying cement concrete. Then, they started to establish the super large building blocks. The skeleton of the entire castle was made of standard steel components, which were constantly carried over by Long Wind Business Group's large-scale airships. The team connected and fixed them before pouring them with quick-drying cement concrete or prefabricated bricks. As a result, the castle was growing like bamboo shoots in the spring after rain. Under the constant construction, the team only took 13 days to complete its capping construction. After completing the capping construction of its main project, a huge brown cement bulk appeared on the Yunju mountain, which although it looked ugly, still could present the majesty of a castle. On June 15, after the shrine burning point was ignited, Zhang Tai completed the ignition of the 13th burning point on his spine and became a will-be LV-7 fighter. As long as a huge centipede's soul fire was gathered, Zhang Tai would officially become an LV-7 fighter. As a result, Zhang Tai's battle chi totem would also turn from a hell-black spider into a fiercer centipede. Additionally, his iron blood battle chi would be further improved. On the same day, Zhang Tai received the notice from the Herbs Valley that his first batch of exclusive crystal vials with his own symbol had arrived. When Zhang Tai was noticed by a staff member of Herbs Valley, he was stopped by Yang Yuan Kong at the gate of the training field on fundamental swordsmanship. Compared to the training of fundamental movements, the training of fundamental swordsmanship was more abnormal and nobody could pass its test by chance. There were only 8 moves on fundamental swordsmanship, which were splitting, chopping, raising, pricking, lifting up, short quick poking, stirring and holding back. If one wanted to pass the test on fundamental swordsmanship, one had to practice each move 1,000,000 times. Everybody was practicing on a steam-driven metal robot which could calculate how many times he had hit one point. For instance, if one pricked that robot's eyes, throat or heart, the data on the pricking display would roll up to a higher number. Similarly, one stroke on the robot's neck, hands and feet, and the data on the splitting and chopping display would change accordingly. The robot's 4 metal arms were waving different weapons respectively at a fixed rhythm. The defense or attack of the 4 arms were in line with the lifting up, short quick poking, stirring and holding back respectively. There was a counter with 8 columns at the bottom of each metal robot. The minimum standard for passing the test of fundamental swordsmanship was 1,000,000 on each column. This was tough training that could not be evaded without reaching the regulated striking points. Previously, Zhang Tai was wondering why there was only fundamental swordsmanship in the compulsory courses of Breaking Heavens department, instead of fundamental saber skills and fundamental spear skills. Zhang Tai finally understood why Chinese people called swordsmanship the king of weapons, because the 8 sword skills almost covered most of the basic attacking skills of other weapons. Compared to swordsmanship, saber skills were more focused on only splitting up and chopping, while spear skills were more focused on raising and pricking. The moment Yang Yuankong caught sight of Zhang Tai, he instantly hugged him and said, "Brother, you have to save me this time." Chapter 324, Sincerity. He's okay 2 days ago, why does he ask for help today? What happened? Zhang Tai asked nervously as he thought that Yang Yuankong might have encountered some dangers. Bro, do you have more all-purpose medicament? You have to give me some more today as my happiness and the rest of life fully depends on you. Yang Yuankong said with watery eyes. F***ck. Zhang Tai swore inside, when do I have the ability to determine whether you are happy or not? How could your happiness be related with me? I've already given your 100 vials 2 days ago and let you to control the delivery speed. You only need to sell 7 to 8 vials a day. How come you sell them off so fast? Zhang Tai asked out of curiosity. The day before yesterday, Zhang Tai supplied Yang Yuankong with 100 vials for 2 weeks' sale. Now, after Zhang Tai forcefully bought away a huge tranche of well-fermented all-purpose medicament, there was only one tranche of well-fermented all-purpose medicament left useful in 2 months. It weighed more than 100 kilograms, which could fill in over 1,000 vials of all-purpose medicament. Besides consuming it by himself, Zhang Tai could only supply a limited amount of vials to the market, at most 20 vials a day. They have been grabbed away by friends in less than 1 day. Yang Yuankong said in a bashful way, "You know, we're all friends, I feel reluctant to refuse them. Therefore, I failed to control the sales volume. This time, you have to help me, Zhang Tai. I promised to sell another 10 vials to my friend." Your friend is a woman? Judging from Yang Yuankong's face, Zhang Tai probably knew what happened. Yes, I've fallen in love with her for a long time. Finally, she asked me for help, if I could not do that. Zhang Tai understood it at once. Fine, I will give you 20 more vials, don't forget to control the sales volume this time. Yang Yuankong became greatly jubilant as his face started to radiate brilliant light. That's my brother. Right then, a staff in the administration center of Herbs Valley of Breaking Heaven's department found Zhang Tai and told him that the exclusive vials had arrived and urged him to take them away from the administration center. You've customized a batch of exclusive vials? Yang Yuankong was really surprised about Zhang Tai's work efficiency. Previously he thought that it would take Zhang Tai a period before customize his exclusive vials. It was really out of his imagination that Zhang Tai had already customized them. Zhang Tai nodded as he asked Yang Yuankong, "Are you free now? Accompany me to the Herbs Valley, I will get you 20 vials of all-purpose medicament." Great! Yang Yuankong nodded immediately. Zhang Tai then went towards the Herbs Valley together with Yang Yuankong. On the way, he inquired Yang Yuankong about the sales situation of the all-purpose medicament. The popularity of all-purpose medicament was completely out of Zhang Tai's imagination. In Zhang Tai's opinion, the most obvious influence of all-purpose medicament was to replace LV1 antidote. Its price was much cheaper than LV1 antidote. By contrast, fewer people would like to buy LV1 antidote at higher price. However, this medicament had other functions, its price was not for common consumers. For most of cultivators who came to the Hidden Dragon Island for forming battle chi or reaching a higher level, Zhang Tai's medicament was still not cheap. Perhaps someone would buy 1 or 2 vials out of curiosity. It was really out of Zhang Tai's imagination that over 100 vials of medicament were sold out so fast. Don't you know that 90% of the all-purpose medicament had been bought away by girls in the Breaking Heavens department? Even thought not, they were finally gifted to girls. Girls of Breaking Heaven's department were the largest and the ultimate group of consumers. Yang Yuankong poured out a secret that astounded Zhang Tai pretty much. Girls? What those girls need so many all-purpose medicament for? Zhang Tai asked in astonishment, for hairdressing? Almost like that. Saying that, Yang Yuankong also became a bit wordless. You know that the girls of Breaking Heaven's department need to train hard. Because of this, their hands, knees, elbows, ankles and soles coarsened. Some girls' faces even turned darker. A few days ago, a girl found that all-purpose medicament could help their coarsened skin become more watery and smooth, like had been newly generated. It could also beautify girls' skin. Soon after, all the other girls knew these effects. As a result, all-purpose medicament instantly became a bestseller. Using all-purpose medicament as facial mask and skin membrane? Zhang Tai was really dumbfounded. He admired the creativity of these women so much. They could spend everything for beautifying themselves. Although he heard from Ma Yun about hairdressing several days ago, he thought they were drinking it. He had never thought that they could play so many tricks with the all-purpose medicament. Some of them even use it to wash their hair. Yang Yuankong added. Wash hair? Zhang Tai felt those women were really unrivaled. Even though he invented the all-purpose medicament, he had not imagined that it could have so many purposes. After buying the all-purpose medicament, some female herbal medicine apprentices soaked all-purpose medicament together with some Polygonum multiflorum and soapberry. After a few days, they could use the solution to wash their hair. It was said that by using the super enzyme as a shampoo, their hair became both black and bright and smelt very fragrant. Besides, the problem like dropping hair is also solved. Certainly, Zhang Tai had not imagined that the all-purpose medicament could have so many effects. Zhang Tai was also shocked inside after hearing all these news. He only had tried to ferment super enzyme with various fruits. Perhaps he could also try to mix something else inside, such as some substances that had cosmetic effect like peach blossoms or roses. When they talked with each other, they had already arrived at the administration center of the Herbs Valley. After checking Zhang Tai's clan identification plate, a staff in the administration center of Herbs Valley directly brought Zhang Tai into a warehouse of the administration center as he pointed at a pile of crates marked with Alchemists Association. These are the 10,000 exclusive vials that you've ordered. Here is the document on your exclusive symbol that you've registered in the Alchemists Association. The staff in the administration center passed another paper document folder to Zhang Tai. Being not too hasty to move away the vials, Zhang Tai opened the paper document folder and took a serious look. That document was a document on the registration of exclusive symbol officially delivered by the Human Alchemists Association. With this document, from then on, Zhang Tai had become the only owner of the exclusive symbol Manjasaka. Meanwhile, he had the right to use this exclusive symbol on his vials of medicament. When Zhang Tai opened that document, Yang Yuankong also drew close his head to him and watched that very delicate and mysterious symbol on the document. Manjasaka? Yang Yuankong mumbled that word under the symbol in a low voice. Is this your exclusive symbol? Right, how do you feel? Zhang Tai directly showed it to Yang Yuankong in a generous way. Yang Yuankong carefully gazed at that symbol as he revealed a big smile. Very beautiful. How to say? It is a bit mystical. Zhang Tai burst out laughter. Let's have a look at the vials. Saying this, Zhang Tai had directly opened a crate of vials in front of him and took out of a vial from inside before took a careful look. These vials were totally different from the ones with no symbol before, as a square exclusive symbol were carved on the middle of these vials. It was a bloody, mystical blossom, under which was the Chinese character, which means Manjasaka. With this symbol, the vials instantly reached a higher level. You're now an alchemist master. Yang Yuankong praised. How much is the vials that you've customized? 26 copper coins for each vial with no symbol, 30 copper coins for each vial with exclusive symbol. Hee, a bit more expensive than those vials with no symbol that I bought before. No crap, hurry up, help me remove them. To where? Poria Coco's Park. Saying this, Zhang Tai had lifted 2 crates of vials by each hand. Seeing this, Yang Yuankong also hurriedly followed up with some crates of vials. The vial was neither huge nor heavy. A crate could contain 500 vials with exclusive symbol. 20 crates for 10,000 vials of medicament. With the help of the workers in the administration center, they soon moved all the vials into the Poria Coco's Park. With the exception of these vials of medicament, Zhang Tai also ordered a small vial filling machine. In the Poria Coco's Park, although Yang Yuankong had long known that it was not difficult for Zhang Tai to produce all-purpose medicament, at the first sight of the almost 100 huge tranches, Yang Yuankong was still shocked for quite a while. With the help of the small vial filler and the help of Yang Yuankong, it took Zhang Tai less than 20 minutes to fill all the fermented super enzyme from the huge tranche into 1174 wholly new vials of all-purpose medicament in total. Staring at the 1,000-odd vials of all-purpose medicament lying in the cases in a tidy way, Yang Yuankong forcefully swallowed his saliva and mumbled, "Am I dreaming? How could I see so many vials of all-purpose medicament in front of me?" Zhang Tai then took out 20 vials from them and handed them to Yang Yuankong. "These are all the vials that I could provide in 2 months, you could take 500 vials of them away at any time. As for the rest, I promised to let some senior sisters to sell a part of them for me. 2 months later, I could provide you 1,000 vials of all-purpose medicament months." Hearing Zhang Tai's words, Yang Yuankong nodded. Although he wanted to take all the all-purpose medicament here away, he knew that it was impossible. For all-purpose medicament, Zhang Tai had his own plan. It was already very fortunate for him to be Zhang Tai's dealer. Certainly, Zhang Tai won't entrust him for the sale of all the all-purpose medicament on the Hidden Dragon Island, as he didn't have the ability to do that. "From today on, you need to watch out your safety, bro." Yang Yuankong pointed at a vial marked with the wholly new symbol Manjasaka. "Once this thing enters the market, Manjasaka would be an ethical brand in the eyes of the public. Although in this way, all-purpose medicament became more expensive and more reliable, you need to know that some bad guys in the Breaking Heavens department or on the other places of the Hidden Dragon Island might be jealous about you. Trust me, I will pay attention to that," Zhang Tai replied. After enlightening the one-step, one-scenery situation, Zhang Tai felt that he had reached a greater improvement in his real strength. Besides, his iron body fist had reached a higher level. Additionally, he was now a will-be LV7 fighter. If he fought Zhang Qinghua now, he was confident to beat that guy who was jumping in front of him here and there to spit out blood. Hearing Zhang Tai's words, Yang Yuankong friendly urged again about his safety before jubilantly took away the 20 vials of medicament in order to gift them to some girl. What an unpromising guy. As long as you got something good, you will gift them to your woman? Seeing off Yang Yuankong leaving jubilantly with 20 vials of all-purpose medicament, Zhang Tai sniggered inside. The moment Yang Yuankong disappeared, Zhang Tai instantly fetched a special pot cover-sized box that he had customized in a goldsmith's shop in the White Dragon Town 2 days ago from the lab of the Poria Cocos Park and started to be busy in a very meticulous and excited way. When Lan Yunxi returned to his Phoenix Resting Pavilion in the evening, she received the most sexy gift that she had received since she was born. Lan Yunxi was the only person who lived in the Phoenix Resting Pavilion. This was the privilege the #1 student in the clan's donation list could enjoy. In recent decades, Lan Yunxi was the first female student that enjoyed this special treatment in the Hidden Dragon Palace. Previously, this privilege was usually enjoyed by male students. As the #1 student on the Hidden Dragon clan contribution list, she could have 1 pavilion and 2 exclusive servants. Therefore, there were 2 servant girls arranged for her in the Phoenix Resting Pavilion. "Miss, someone sent a gift to you today." The moment Lan Yunxi returned to the Phoenix Resting Pavilion, Xiao Qing, one of his servant girl, had brought her such a news. "Burn it," Lan Yunxi ordered in a cold way. Since entering the Hidden Dragon Palace, she had received numerous gifts. Those guys who courted her either considered that they were talented or sent her collection of poems, paintings, or music books, which almost made her apathetic. One guy who was excelled at fighting skills yet with a simple head, gifted her a gorgeous, powerful gold-edged saber being blessed with several rune effects. There were rings on its back. The saber weighed more than 80 kilograms. The second day after she received the saber, Lan Yunxi ferociously tamped that guy with his saber, causing him pass out with full of bumps on his forehead. From then on, all the male students in the Breaking Heavens department knew that Lan Yunxi didn't like others to gift her weapon. Therefore, more people tended to gift her poems and music books. Besides the above-mentioned guys, Lan Yunxi always saw men talking about national affairs in front of her or doing everything to please her. Some men didn't even dare to look into her eyes. All the guys who talked about national affairs thought they were not like average people and they disdained to please her in those naive tricks. By comparison, those guys who would like to do everything to please Lan Yunxi all had good plans. which made Lan Yunqi directly throw off their gifts. As for those who were not even brave enough to look into her eyes, she thought they were not brave to send gifts to her either. This one is special, not like the previous ones. I cannot easily burn it. Please have a look by yourself, miss. Xiaoqing revealed a smile. Lan Yunqi then glanced at that gift. It was too rustic, sexy, and extremely vulgar. On the top of the gift was a bundle of vulgar yet beautiful roses which were as large as a pot cover. Under the roses were a more vulgar gold jewelry box, which weighed more than 10 kilograms. Opening the box, she saw a deep blue mattress made of velvet. On the mattress were standing 99 vials of all-purpose medicament in a tidy way, which formed a heart-shaped pattern. On the vials were a message left to Lan Yunqi. Taking that notepaper, Lan Yunqi read the extremely awkward words, "It was a damn shit doggerel. All-purpose medicament is truly good, no matter men, women, old and young, they all need it. Beauties with it would grow prettier year by year. No matter how much you hate me, I will send you my sincerity." The signature of the doggerel was, "You know." Reading this doggerel, Lan Yunqi's face changed every now and then. She looked both happy or furious. "Miss, do you need me to throw these things away?" Xiaoqing observed Lan Yunqi's face carefully as she asked in a faint voice. Although these things were valuable, Lan Yunqi could also easily throw them away if she wanted, as she had even thrown away priceless night luminous pearls without a blink of her eyes. "Who sent them here?" A 16 to 17 student from Hidden Dragon Palace with a grinning face. "Is it a grinning face?" "It's a stealthy face." Lan Yunqi made a cold harumph. "I will throw it away then." Saying this, Xiaoqing pretended to throw them away. "Stop." Lan Yunqi stopped Xiaoqing while saying calmly to her with a serious look, "These flowers look really good, it's a pity to throw them off. Just keep them." "Yes, miss." Xiaoqing revealed a wisp of smile at the corner of her mouth. 1 hour later, lying in a bathtub being covered with petals, Lan Yunqi held a vial of all-purpose medicament. Watching at the exclusive symbol, she became slightly perplexed. Manjusaka, how could that villain come out such a poetic, sad, and beautiful name? Looking at her naked body in the mirror, Lan Yunqi thought of AB***. Not knowing why, Lan Yunqi's cheeks gradually blushed. Chapter 325, Being Traced. Standing on the exterior wall of the castle, Zhang Tai watched a constructor operating a railed trailer to push a huge set of steam-driven boilers from a faraway material center to the foot of the gate of castle. The rail crane slowly lifted the set of steam-driven boilers in the air. Safety hats on heads, some constructors of Long Wind Business Group fastened some wire cables onto the hanger plate to keep the balance of the huge machine while communicating loudly with the operators of the railed crane on the high platform. "Slowly, slowly, a bit left, right, a bit left, okay, keep lifting, right." The construction site was so boisterous. Everybody was busy doing their own work. After the main project of the castle was completed, there were a lot of follow-up projects to carry out, among which, the most important was the installation and commissioning of the steam-driven power units and various defense weapons of the castle, as well as the internal and external decoration and greenery of the castle. The contour of this castle gradually became clear, but it was really ugly. It was just a concrete lump with exposed cement and various bulky steel components, which was far from good-looking. Lu Gong, the director of the construction team of Long Wind Business Group and a steward of Long Wind Business Group, accompanied Zhang Tai to inspect the progress of the construction with safety hats on heads. Zhang Tai watched as he asked various questions. "Is this set of steam-driven boilers the main boiler of the castle?" Looking at that huge machine being lifted in the air by the crane as he asked. "Yes, this is the main power boiler of the castle. Its output power is 9,600 horsepower. Normally, this main boiler would be used to provide power to the ground-to-air weapons and 2 crossbow cannons. Being matched with it are 2 regular power boilers with slightly less output power. With 3,400 horsepower as the output power of each regular power boiler was mainly applied to drive some distributed-type attacking systems and small crossbows that were going to be installed on the castle. Realizing that Zhang Tai's question was involved with his own profession, Lu Gong replied at once. Zhang Tai then pointed at that highest defense bartizan in the castle and asked, "Is this main power boiler going to be installed under that bartizan?" "Yes, this main power boiler is going to be installed in the power room of the bartizan. The other 2 boilers would be installed here and there." Lu Gong pointed at 2 places in the external castle and the internal castle respectively. When he remembered how some steam-driven boilers exploded in the past, Zhang Tai became a bit worried. In this age, besides alchemists' bombs, the only thing that could explode would be steam-driven boilers. However, although the power of steam-driven boilers was very amazing, strictly, it should not be called an explosion. Instead, it was just the result of fast-releasing, high-pressure steam energy in an extremely short period, which was different from alchemists' bombs. Whereas, if the boiler truly exploded, the castle would also be heavily destroyed. Zhang Tai always kept an eye on the construction of this castle. Although he still felt unreal when he touched those icy, hard and crude concrete walls of the external castle, undoubtedly, Zhang Tai had spent a lot of time and money in building this castle. Besides 400,000 to 500,000 gold coins debt, there was something else that he had put on the castle. Because there was a word Yun in Lan Yunqi's name, Zhang Tai then chose the construction site of his castle in Mount Yunjiu. Additionally, having their own castle was a dream for each boy when they were young. This castle would be the starting point of his undertaking in the future. "Will these boilers explode?" Zhang Tai asked seriously. "Hee, the steam-driven boilers which would explode are old-fashioned. This castle adopts new-fashioned water-pipe steam-driven boilers with relatively sophisticated structures. Its thermal efficiency and output pressure are both higher than that of average boilers. Additionally, it has automatic protection switches on water level, temperature, and pressure. We can definitely reassure you about its safety and service performance." Lu Gong patted his chest with full confidence. Hearing his explanation, Zhang Tai finally became reassured. Now, what we need to consider is actually on the number of guardians and residents inside this castle. Steward O, who accompanied by Zhang Tai, added, "This castle would be completed in 20 days at most. After then, we can produce all-purpose medicament here. As a result, many people would be attracted here. To support the complete defense and safety system of this castle, 70 guardians are needed in the castle on the Hidden Dragon Island at least. If on the land, the number needs to increase by 1 time at least due to frequent communication. I wonder about you plan?" Zhang Tai thought for a short while before asked in a serious voice, "I wonder about your suggestion, Steward O?" Of course, the fastest way is to directly employ armed guardians. We Long Wind Business Group could provide the employment service of armed guardians. Considering the long-term development, you can also directly employ clan warriors. Employ clan warriors. Zhang Tai was a bit shocked by this suggestion. Steward O revealed a smile, "As you have a castle, you are qualified to employ clan warriors. As long as you could provide them good benefits, many freelance warriors would actually like to serve you, who has a bright future. Therefore, it's very difficult to employ clan warriors. I'm worried about the loyalty of these clan warriors," Zhang Tai said. "Their loyalty needs to be curtained. However, if you directly purchase slaves or those self-selling slaves, as long as you show them hope, you could easily curtain their loyalty." Since coming to the Huaiyuan prefecture, it was Zhang Tai's first time to hear that slaves could be traded here. The term self-selling slave sounded fresh. "You mean there are slaves in the Huaiyuan prefecture? I also want to know what is a self-selling slave." Zhang Tai became interested. There's no slave in the Jinyun country as a whole, or there's no mechanism to force the production of slaves, but Jinyun country and Huaiyuan palace don't forbid slaves and population trading. Many countries on the Wei subcontinent admit the existence of slavery. There are also many countries on other continents that admit the existence of slavery, as population and slaves trafficking is a very significant pattern of population flow between continents and countries. The alleged self-selling slave refers to those who feel voluntary to give up and sell their own human rights by selling themselves to others as slaves. They are commonly seen in Huaiyuan prefecture and Jinyun country. After all, not everyone in this world could live well or make the most of their life. There is always someone who doesn't even have food to eat or to survive. If they voluntarily sell themselves for food and sustainable living, of course we will feel pleasant to accept them. Hearing this explanation, Zhang Tai became silent. He remembered the content in the book General History of Human Clan that he kept reading these days. According to the book, farming slavery still existed even before the catastrophe when people considered their science, technology, and civilization were the most developed. Zhang Tai thought it through at once as he felt that reading could truly broaden one's vision. Does this exist in Huayuan Palace? Are you kidding me? If people in Huayuan Palace have become self-selling slaves, why would we find our clan affairs pavilion and our clan? As the posterity of Huayuan Palace, no matter how poor we live, our clan would at least give us a hand. Any posterity of Huayuan Palace could easily find a job in Huayuan Palace to survive. Those self-selling slaves are under strict management in all Chinese countries. There's definitely no self-selling slaves from big clans. Even if there is, nobody would dare to buy them. Where can I buy slaves in Huayuan Prefecture? The largest population trading market in Huayuan Prefecture is in Stars Viewing City. They are under the management of Zhang clan. Average slaves and self-selling slaves worth about 50 gold coins each. Kids would be cheaper while beautiful women and male technicians would be a bit expensive. The price of slave warriors above LV6 would be higher than 600 gold coins. Steward O explained. Is slaves trading normally seen in Huayuan Palace? Rich people would always have some slaves. After thinking for a short while, Zhang Tai made the decision at once. He smiled. Now that Long Wind Business Group can provide armed guardians, I will employ 80 armed guardians from Huayuan Palace first to run the castle. Then I will take a look in Yunzhou City. Steward O also revealed a smile. Now that you want to employ armed guardians from Long Wind Business Group, I will bring you the agreement tomorrow. Is it expensive? It might be expensive for others, but for you, it's too cheap. Steward O said. Zhang Tai burst out in laughter. He really enjoyed this compliment. He found that as long as male had money, they would gain more respect. It really feels nice to have money. Zhang Tai mumbled. In the next half an hour, Zhang Tai made a round in the castle with curiosity. He inspected project progress of the castle, especially fixed his eyes on the various pipes that were to be used to connect some steam-driven power units. Finally, he came to the Black Dragon town satisfactorily and prepared to enter the dragon cave to form his LV7 battle totem, a huge centipede. It was good weather today with bright sunshine. After knowing that his gift was not thrown away by Lan Yunxi from the Phoenix Resting Pavilion, Zhang Tai became very happy. He felt that both his love and undertaking were developing towards a good direction. After inspecting his castle, he became more excited. It was more populated than before in the Black Dragon town. Zhang Tai first came to the drugstore opened by Yang Yuan Kong and the other senior brothers, only to find that the drugstore had been closed by noon with a plate on the door. The all-purpose medicament today has been sold out. We will open 9 a.m. tomorrow and sell another 6 vials. 1 vial for each person. Don't jump the queue please. Although the plate had been displayed, including the number of vials to be sold tomorrow, there were still dozens of people sitting on stools and quilts outside the store while chatting with each other. Seeing Zhang Tai peeping inside, some of them shouted, "Brat, if you want to buy the all-purpose medicament, move to the end of the line. Haven't you seen so many people waiting outside here? I want to know why do you wait here for? Isn't it said that there are only 6 vials of all-purpose medicament to be sold here tomorrow?" Zhang Tai glanced at that line with a dubious expression. If we can't get one tomorrow, we will get one the day after tomorrow or 2 days later. If we wait here for 3 to 5 days, we will definitely get one. As long as we get 1 vial here at the cost of 8 gold coins, we can sell it at the price of 10 gold coins so easily. As we are all commoners on the island, we would never make money so easily by doing other jobs. That man who stopped Zhang Tai explained. Yeah, I heard these all-purpose medicament is produced by an alchemist master. It only takes him a short while to produce some vials of medicament a day to survive us a year. Another one added. Alchemist master, when do I become an alchemist master? I'm not even a herbal medicine apprentice. Zhang Tai felt a bit hilarious. Message had been distorted when it came out of the hidden dragon palace. I have another question. Who will you sell the medicament to? Of course, those women on the island. Those guys stared at Zhang Tai like looking at an idiot. You don't know that? Although those women on the island are good at fighting, when they talked about the effect of all-purpose medicament, they always use words like skin beautifying and regeneration and anti-aging, which are nothing to do with average women. That day, I met a woman. I offered her 11 gold coins for one vial of manjasaka. She bought it without even a blink of her eyes. She even felt it was too cheap. Why not ask for more gold coins? The others started to feel regretful with him. But I don't know, that woman is so rich. When they discussed about that, Zhang Tai had left from that drugstore. Women again. How could these women act like flies sting smelly chicken eggs when they heard about something that could make them more beautiful and younger? Zhang Tai had not imagined that it was same both in and out the breaking heavens department. If it kept going like this, he was afraid that all the all-purpose medicament that he produced would be their cosmetics. Zhang Tai could imagine how his all-purpose medicament is sold on Ma Ayun's side. He heard that his all-purpose medicament had been sold out among the girls of Breaking Heavens department even before Ma Ayun and the other senior sisters opened a drugstore in Blue Dragon Town. Zhang Tai estimated that such a situation would last at least 1 month. Not until the latest batch of medicament was well fermented could this situation be slightly improved. However, knowing that his medicament becoming so popular among the girls, Zhang Tai also became very thrilled, as this indicated that he had more chance to contact Lan Yunxi in the future. After leaving the drugstore, Zhang Tai casually made a round in the Black Dragon Town. With his super spiritual energy and sense, Zhang Tai instantly found something abnormal. He felt being traced. Chapter 326, Betrayal. Zhang Tai was a bit shocked about being traced, yet he still pretended to wander in the Black Dragon Town. After that, he saw a lane on the roadside, therefore, he flashed in. Zhang Tai rushed into the lane. Less than 20 seconds, 2 shadows appeared at the entrance of the lane. After exchanging glances with each other, they also rushed in the lane. This lane was less than 2 m in width. After moving forward over 30 meters, Zhang Tai turned a corner and stopped. With arms crossed and eyes narrowed, he leaned against the wall and slowed his breath. Meanwhile, he started to hear the footsteps in the lane. Over 10 seconds later, the subtle sound of footsteps became clearer. Based on the sound of the footsteps, Zhang Tai knew that he was traced by 2 people. They both moved very swiftly. When the sound of footsteps became closer to the corner, Zhang Tai instantly flashed out and launched an attack at once. Those 2 people had not imagined that Zhang Tai could attack them first, but they were obviously experts. The moment Zhang Tai punched them, they reacted to it and hurriedly counterattacked him. With 2 muffled sounds, Zhang Tai sent both of them 2 m away. Previously, Zhang Tai thought that he could end the battle at once. He had not imagined that those 2 had such great fighting abilities. Sto. Before one guy was able to say something, Zhang Tai had thrown another punch. Zhang Tai's strength was so huge that the moment they reacted to his another attack, the 2 guys felt having no other ways but to forcefully hold it back. F***ck, how can a LV6 guy have such huge strength? The 2 guys swore inside before held back his attack. Feeling the huge strength, they were sent flying several meters away again. Like their shadow, Zhang Tai closely followed them and punched for the 4th time. This time, Zhang Tai attacked more ferociously and swiftly. After 4 moves, he had forced the 2 people over 10 m back. With a sound of ching, one guy who could not stand any more. He directly pulled out his long sword from his back. When sword chi spread in the lane like spring rain, with only 1 movement, Zhang Tai had left the attacking range of the sword chi and stood in the pavilion. He then started to appreciate the scenery of the spring rain like a tourist on the grassland. Compared to Zhang Tai's attack before, his retreat shocked them too. The two people knew their real fighting abilities. Seeing his partner applied the fighting skill sword rain and it did not even touch Zhang Tai's clothes, one guy was really stunned as he realized that he had encountered the most powerful opponent in his life. Although sword rain was a defensive move, it was also aggressive like needles and cotton. Whether it could be well applied depended on the person who applied it. However, a LV9 sword masterhand only forced him one step back. Zhang Tai's quick judgment, response, and easy expression really shocked them. Seeing Zhang Tai's gleaming eyes and the gradually rising battle chi totem on his back, the guy who used his sword before shouted loudly hurriedly. "Stop, we are from Long Wind Business Group." Hearing his explanation, Zhang Tai became slightly surprised as the rising battle chi totem disappeared at once. "You say you are from Long Wind Business Group, show me your identification certificate." After exchanging glances with each other, they presented their identification plates to Zhang Tai. After checking their identification plates, Zhang Tai completely hid his chi and slightly frowned his forehead. "Why do you trace me then?" Whoever being traced would not feel good, including Zhang Tai. That guy who pulled out the sword had put it back into the sheath. "As Long Wind Business Group is worrying about your safety, they arranged us to protect you stealthily," another guy explained with an innocent look. They had not imagined that Zhang Tai was that shrewd. Two LV9 experts traced a LV6 man, yet was noticed and being forced to pull out sword in only a few seconds. What a shame! What a shame! Protect me? Zhang Tai felt a bit hilarious. "Do you mean I will encounter dangers on the island? If you were the old Zhang Tai, you might be safe, but now, it is hard to say." These days, many alchemists had been killed on the land. It was a bit chaotic out there. That guy who put his sword back into sheath explained. Many alchemists were killed on the land? Zhang Tai was shocked. "Do you know who did this?" "We don't know. They moved very fast and leave no clue or people alive." These days, alchemists on all continents were scared of them. The Alchemists Association had released the reward of huge amount of money for hunting them. "Being concerned about your safety, the Long Wind Business Group dispatches us to protect you stealthily." They explained everything straightforwardly. After figuring out what happened, Zhang Tai's bad mood disappeared at once. "Big brothers, as I don't know about your status before, I launched the attack. Wish you didn't mind that." Zhang Tai revealed a smile instantly. "How do I address you then?" After exchanging glances with each other, the guy who held the sword burst out in laughter generously. "I'm Lu Xiang, he's Zhang Haichao. Brother Zhang Tai really has great fighting skills." "Haha, thanks, big brother Lu. I wonder when will your task come to an end?" "This is a long-term task. I'm afraid that it will not come to an end until you leave Hidden Dragon Island. You just do whatever you want in the island. We will not interfere with you. We hope you do not mind being traced by us stealthily as we are just following the order," Zhang Haichao explained. "I feel really sorry for that. That's our work." Lu Xiang smiled as he looked at Zhang Tai. "Oh, how did you notice us just now? Old Yang and I have been partners for a long time. We are very confident to not be noticed by the one we trace. I have a very sharp sense. I only felt being traced on the street. As I could not identify you in the public, I have to force you out by setting a trap." "How smart." Lu Xiang nodded. "Brother Zhang is only LV6, right? But your iron blood fist is really excellent. Old Yang and I could not even able to hold it back." Through a few seconds battle, although they didn't use their full strength, they all had left a deep impression of each other. "I'm going to the Dragon Cave to form LV7 Battle Chi Totem today," Zhang Tai explained. "That's great." Lu Xiang exchanged glances with Zhang Tai. After knowing that Zhang Tai had almost been LV7, the two felt much better. 1 minute later, Zhang Tai walked out of the lane and entered a nearby drugstore to buy a vial of night viewing medicament before heading for the Dragon Cave alone. Walking out of the other end of the lane, Lu Xiang and Zhang Haichao also bought 1 vial of night viewing medicament respectively. They then encountered Zhang Tai at the entrance of Dragon Cave. With a distance between them and Zhang Tai, they entered the Dragon Cave together. There were a lot of people entering the dragon cave every day. Soon after Zhang Tai and the two people entered, another batches of people entered too. 2 hours later, in the deep, gloomy cave where few people could be seen. When Lu Xiang and Zhang Haichao passed an underground area of tall mosses, a lot of bolts were shot out of the plants and flew directly towards the two people. Almost the moment the bolts were shot out, Lu Xiang had charged out like a fierce tiger. With bright sword chi, a wide area of tall lotus leaves mosses and the second wave of bolts were shattered off by Lu Xiang. At this very moment, Zhang Haichao had jumped up from the ground like a furious eagle while wearing a pair of eccentric steel claws and launched a furious attack from the air. Being punched by the two LV9 experts, the group of killers had to drop off their crossbows and jumped out of that area of lotus leaves mosses. However, almost the moment they drilled out, they had been torn off into pieces by sword chi and shadowing claws. Seeing 5 to 6 corpses lying on the ground, Lu Xiang frowned. Not right, they look a bit strange. Yeah, they don't bleed. Looking at his steel claws where there was not blood, Zhang Haichao's face also turned gloomy. Hurry up, go find Zhang Tai, he's in danger. Lu Xiang's face changed at once. When Zhang Haichao turned, a part of long sword was pierced through his chest. Looking at that part of long sword, Zhang Haichao felt that this was the last thing that he could believe. With eyes turning red, he punched backward, forcing Lu Xiang to draw out of his long sword and move 5 meters back in a split second. Zhang Haichao then started to spit out dark blood. Lu Xiang's attack not only heavily wounded his veins, but also sharply poisoned him. Swaggering his body, he fixed his eyes on Lu Xiang. "Wh. Why, do you betray Huayuan Palace?" Lu Xiang just revealed a smile. With sounds of sha-sha from all directions, a great amount of bowmen surrounded him once again. At the same time, another round of bolts rain were triggered. With a roar, Zhang Haichao kept surging forward and rushed inside the bolts rain. In a wink, he tore off 5 more people into pieces. When Zhang Haichao wanted to tear apart the 6th person by his steel claws, his body swayed. At the same time, 10 more bolts were nailed onto his body, closely after which, a sword chi flashed by. As a result, his head flew off his body and dropped onto the ground 10 m away, eyes as wide as copper bells. 1. What a pity. Cleaning the long sword in his hand, Lu Xiang watched Zhang Haichao's headless corpse. If not in this way, I might really not have killed you. If not kill you, in a few years, you might be promoted to LV10 and become a powerful fighter. Nothing pitiful at all. No, until then did a man in black robe walked out of the dark corner and glanced at those corpses lying on the ground in a distant way, just some dead bodies. But since then, my status would be exposed. Lu Xiang let out a sign. I've been lurked in Huayuan Palace for over 10 years. You should appreciate that Huayuan Palace dispatches you here, as this is a good chance for you to show your loyalty to us. Now that you've made it, everything you've done is worthwhile. Hope so. After saying this, Lu Xiang broke his own long sword and punched himself. After spitting out a mouthful of blood, he made his bun tilt and his hair messy. After that, he ran towards the path where Zhang Tai had passed in a flurried way. At this moment, Zhang Tai finally met a huge centipede. After killed it so easily, Zhang Tai widened his eyes and watched that ball of soul fire flying towards him and entering his body. In a split second, he had formed his LV7 battle chi totem. Soon after, he saw Lu Xiang running towards him in an embarrassed way. Chapter 327, Who Screws Whom? After using a vial of night vision medicament, although the night vision effect in the cave could not match his vision during the day outside the cave, Zhang Tai was still startled by Lu Xiang's pitiful state. With bloodstain on his clothes, Lu Xiang's face had turned pale as a sheet and he rushed towards Zhang Tai in a flurried way. What happened? Zhang Tai furrowed his brows as he raced towards Lu Xiang. The moment Lu Xiang arrived in front of Zhang Tai, he directly tilted his body and fell onto the ground. Zhang Tai hurriedly held Lu Xiang's hands. Lu Xiang then spat out a mouthful of blood in a pretty miserable way. We were attacked. They might target at you. Hurry, go. Where's Zhang Haichao? He's blocking their attack. Are you able to move now? Yeah, I can. I know a hidden place. They are too powerful and have blocked the passage to the exit. As long as we survive this period, Long Wind Business Group will definitely dispatch someone to pick us up. Fine. Zhang Tai frowned his forehead in anxiety as he helped Lu Xiong stand up. Let's go there together. Fine. Where's that place? Right in front of us. You help me stand and I'll guide you there. Hurry up. Lu Xiong looked very anxious, but when he said that, a shrewd light flashed across his eyes. It seemed that Zhang Tai trusted Lu Xiong so much that he directly put one of his hands under the latter's shoulder to support him. Under the guidance of Lu Xiong, they ran towards an underground cave. The world in the Dragon Cave was a sophisticated three-dimensional maze which was composed of caves, tunnels, and underground space of different sizes. Rugged, weird-looking stones, mountains, subterranean rivers and lakes, various underground plants, and dangerous living beings could be seen everywhere. Magma even flowed through some areas. Zhang Tai and Lu Xiong kept moving at a fast pace through the underground area. Zhang Tai asked Lu Xiong who had raided them, but Lu Xiong could not explain it clearly. He only knew that those people attacked him and Zhang Haichao from behind and they used powerful crossbows. Some of them even seemed to be powerhouses. When Lu Xiong replied, he silently observed Zhang Tai's response. Seeing that Zhang Tai was absent-minded, Lu Xiong finally recovered his composure. After they'd run for over 10 minutes, they saw an intersection in front of them. On the left of the intersection was a cave while on its right was an underground karst cave. That cave in front of us, hurry in. Lu Xiong said in a flurried way. When they drew close to that cave, Zhang Tai slightly bent his body and prepared to enter. Meanwhile, in the darkness, with a single move, a weird black 12 centimeters long needle had appeared in Lu Xiong's hand silently. When Zhang Tai bent over his body, Lu Xiong had put one hand onto Zhang Tai's shoulder. In a split second, a shrewd light flashed across Lu Xiong's eyes. The moment Lu Xiong prepared to pierce the long needle into Zhang Tai's brain, he suddenly felt cold and painful in his heart. Lowering his head, he saw Zhang Tai's hand which was once put under his armpit to support him had already held a dagger which was directly pierced into the place under his left armpit. Like how he attacked Zhang Haichao just now. With one move, Zhang Tai had already destroyed his heart veins. With a dubious look, he gazed at Zhang Tai while not knowing how that dagger appeared in Zhang Tai's hand. Zhang Tai turned back and stared at him with an icy ridicule. Lu Xiong shouted loudly as he desperately pierced that weird, long needle towards Zhang Tai. Zhang Tai instantly grabbed his wrist while he pulled out of his dagger from Lu Xiong's body before stabbed it into other places on Lu Xiong. In under than a second, Zhang Tai had poked 8 times into Lu Xiong's chest and abdomen. ****. Zhang Tai stabbed him constantly as he swore with gritting teeth. Even though it was a LV9 powerhouse, he could still not believe that he was stabbed 9 times in a split second. Lu Xiong became extremely frightened. In sharp pains and panic, Lu Xiong uttered weird voice as he punched towards Zhang Tai, seemingly wanting to shake out of Zhang Tai's powerful claws. Bang! Lu Xiong smacked onto Zhang Tai's chest, however, Zhang Tai only made a voiceless harumph and swayed his body a bit. Heavily wounded and in a panic, Lu Xiong's attack was not even 40% of what it would be normally. Zhang Tai directly faced it while gritting his teeth with the help of the iron body fruits that he had eaten. After being smacked, Zhang Tai didn't even make a voice. Instead, he stabbed another 7 or 8 times into Lu Xiong's body. Lu Xiong then smacked for the second time. Zhang Tai just ignored his attack and kept stabbing another 7 or 8 times. When Lu Xiong smacked Zhang Tai for the third time, it had been as weak as swatting mosquitoes. Zhang Tai glared at him. While grabbing one of Lu Xiong's hand, he stabbed the latter another 7 to 8 times. In the darkness, Lu Xiong spat out blood while glaring at Zhang Tai's fiery, firm eyes. He then lowered his head to look at his body which was like a broken bag being spoiled by dozens of mice. Moving his lips, he wanted to say something, yet finally uttered no voice but fell down. Lu Xiong had not imagined that he could fight Zhang Tai like a duel between street rascals. With one hand being grabbed, he was forcefully stabbed to death. He didn't figure it out how Zhang Tai found that he was going to attack him and screwed him over first. The whole process from Lu Xiong took out the weird black long needles to his death only lasted about 8 seconds. In only 8 seconds, the battle had come to an end. As a result, a LV9 powerhouse fell like this. Peh. Zhang Tai spat on Lu Xiong's dead body whose eyes were still opening. Zhang Tai then squatted to search over Lu Xiong's body swiftly. Finally, he picked up a weird black long needle from Lu Xiong's hand. After carefully listening to the surroundings, Zhang Tai glanced at that huge underground karst cave before diving into it without any hesitation. This was Zhang Tai's first time killing a LV9 powerhouse. However, Zhang Tai was not very happy inside as he knew that there were still some with killing intent towards him underground. If the opponent could even buy a LV9 powerhouse who was dispatched by Long Wind Business Group to protect me, it must be very powerful. Given Lu Xiong's situation, Zhang Tai knew that Zhang Haichao had probably been killed. Although he was furious, Zhang Tai did not panic. At the critical moment, Zhang Tai was pretty calm. In a split second, he had connected several clues he'd found. The most important thing at present is to figure out my enemy. Besides Lu Xiong, how many people else are waiting to attack me? As Long Wind Business Group's representative is Zhang clan of Huayuan Palace, if my enemy dares to do this, they must not be weaker than the Zhang clan. They might even be more powerful. Although Lu Xiong, whom I killed as a scumbag, the news that he told me before entering the dragon cave must be true. Lately, many alchemists have been assassinated on the mainland. No matter whether this move is related to the power that assassinated the alchemists or not, there's one point that I can verify: the message that I can realize the mass production of all-purpose medicament must have been leaked. By now, few people in the Long Wind Business Group will know that I can do that, therefore, this message shouldn't have been leaked by Long Wind Business Group. That's what I'm concerned most. Even the bodyguard being dispatched by Long Wind Business Group to protect Zhang Tai could be bought. Zhang Tai was concerned how many people he could trust on the hidden Dragon Island. I will depend on myself then. After leaving where he killed Lu Xiong, Zhang Tai didn't run far away. Instead, he bravely lurked on a hill in the underground karst cave 50 m away. Lowering his body, he hid himself under a lot of umbrella-shaped underground rock mushroom. Staying at a higher location, he narrowed his eyes and silently fixed his eyes on the place where Lu Xiong's body lay. If only I had a telescope. Zhang Tai mumbled. Thinking of his poor utilization of the space in his castle of black iron, Zhang Tai decided that after this tricky event was solved, he would find a chance to improve the castle of black iron. After Zhang Tai lurked there in less than 5 minutes, with sounds of clothes flying in the air, a group of people had appeared in that place. Although they wore different clothes and looked non-uniform, they moved in conformance. Additionally, many people were holding crossbows. With only one glance, Zhang Tai had confirmed that these people were on Lu Xiong's side. If they were not on Lu Xiong's side, they would not have followed his route there so fast. Additionally, they had a clear target. Although people entering Dragon Cave might have temporary combinations, they would not move in such a high level of synergy. Stealthy movement with high conformance, a clear target, hiding their real status and number as well as the fact that they were in the same organization. Who would believe it if they told these people were nothing to do with Lu Xiong? The head of the group of people was a guy in black clothes. Crap. At the sight of Lu Xiong's body, the leader's face turned blue at once. Chapter 328, Collision. Lying under the rock mushroom, Zhang Tai silently watched the strange group. He really wanted to kill them all. There were 16 people over there, including that guy in black clothes. Zhang Tai couldn't figure out the level of the man in black clothes, but he estimated that those with crossbows were at most LV8. If that man in black clothes was lower than LV9, Zhang Tai was confident he'd be able to kill them all. Whereas, the only problem was that if that guy in black clothes was higher than LV9, he would be a powerful fighter. Additionally, perhaps this batch of people were just a portion of a larger group. Their partners might be hiding in other places underground. If Zhang Tai exposed himself at this moment, it would be nothing different from committing a suicide. If they blocked Zhang Tai from escaping, when their more powerful fighters arrived there, Zhang Tai would be in a great danger. Glancing at those guys and thinking about Lu Xiang whom he had killed, Zhang Tai started to make deductions in a split second in a very calm way. If Lu Xiang was assigned to screw me, it means that they don't have absolute confidence in killing me. If they had such a powerhouse, as long as I came into the dragon cave, they would have notified that powerhouse of my location to directly kill me. They wouldn't have dealt with me in this way. If Lu Xiang wanted to keep me alive, it would be more interesting. If they wanted me alive, they must have understood the huge value of my manufacturing method of all-purpose medicament. If so, before mastering and verifying the method to produce all-purpose medicament, they won't let me die easily. After capturing me, they definitely won't extract my secrets in here, and they won't do it on Hidden Dragon Island. Instead, they will definitely escort me to a safe place. As Hidden Dragon Island belongs to the Zhang clan, with the exception of the Zhang clan's airships and ships, no other vehicles were allowed in. Therefore, the only way they bring me away is to disguise me quickly. If I was found lost today, they would have to take me away from the Dragon Cave on the same day. If not, when Zhang clan and Hidden Dragon Palace realize what happened, those people would be surrounded and have no chance to leave Hidden Dragon Island anymore. However, it would be very difficult to bring a live person away from Hidden Dragon Cave. This could not be done by one person. If it was the second situation, although more powerful guys might move secretly, Lu Xiang made his move alone as it was the most cost-efficient method. If so, Lu Xiang was their first card, but not the only one. The following cards might be sharper. Since they're not afraid of irritating Huayuan Palace, they must have made full preparations and considered all the possibilities. If it was the first situation, they would only assign a LV9 fighter here at most to deal with me, who's only LV6 to 7 and formed the Iron Blood Battle Chi. If it was the second situation, they would have more powerful guys to catch me, but they would not kill me at once. As for the first situation, I don't need to be worried about it. As for the second situation, I will have a chance to negotiate conditions with them and figure out their true purpose. In a split second, Zhang Tai had figured out his current situation and determined his next step at once. As the Iron Blood Fist was a fist cultivated by a dauntless person and Zhang Tai was born to be adventurous and dauntless, he really couldn't stand it by and just watch those guys come and go in front of his eyes. Additionally, this was Hidden Dragon Island, the territory of Zhang clan. It would be especially shameful if he was that timid even on the Hidden Dragon Island. With a quick thought, a special equipment from the Castle of Black Iron had already appeared in his hand. That was a leathered container of hidden weapons. After completing the advancement of his awakened bloodline, Zhang Tai had built such a weapon in the items department. Besides practicing with them in the trouble reappearance situation, Zhang Tai had not attacked anybody using them. What was placed in the container were the extremely common hidden weapons with great power. Handbolts. It was said that this hidden weapon originated from flying needles, which was popular among some warriors or fighters before the catastrophe. Those powerhouses could even break through thick glasses using flying needles. Certainly, handbolts were not flying needles, at least in size. They were much larger than flying needles but similar to mini spears. Each handbolt was 26.4 centimeters in length and 438 grams in weight. They were made of common steel and iron. Each handbolt was both like a mini spear and a super large flying needle. Zhang Tai made special modifications on their tails according to the laws of aerodynamics he'd learned, making them look a bit flat. In this way, these handbolts could fly faster, more stably, and more powerfully. When Zhang Tai was LV6, the effective shooting range of this handbolt was 90 m. The power of this hidden weapon was similar to that of common spears that he'd used before, as they could easily pierce through a huge wolf. Because of simple design and common materials, these handbolts were excellent low-value consumables. The price of each handbolt was only 2 silver coins in the items department of Hidden Dragon Palace. Zhang Tai had customized 2,000 bolts in palm. Now, all these handbolts were piled inside Castle of Black Iron, and were available at any time. Being fastened on his waist, the container contained 12 handbolts. Certainly, if Zhang Tai liked, the number of hand bolts could be 120, or even 1200. With the exception of Zhang Tai himself, nobody else knew that Zhang Tai was a movable arsenal with his castle of black iron. Sometimes, the container of hidden weapons were just props. Like now, after securely fastening his container, Zhang Tai instantly had 10 more hand bolts in his left hand, like holding a handful of chopsticks. With gleaming eyes, Zhang Tai held one hand bolt in his right hand as he silently changed his position from lying prone into a half-squatting stance. In a split second, he had locked onto that leader in black clothes 50 m away. Leave a small team to clean up the dead body and stay in the area. Any single person you see, whether from the left cave or the right cave, should be killed, that man in black clothes said in a merciless tone, as he glanced over the surrounding people icily. The rest of you will accompany me to get Zhang Tai. He only escaped a short while ago, he can't be far away. After ordering his subordinates, the man carefully looked at the trace left by Zhang Tai on the ground as he led a team towards the open area of the karst cave where they were. At this moment, Zhang Tai narrowed his eyes and forcefully shot a bolt towards the leader. His bolt reached the man's forehead at a speed quicker than sound. When the bolt was only 6 to 7 centimeters away from that man, Zhang Tai thought that a headshot would definitely happen. Betraying his expectations, that man suddenly grabbed that bolt at an amazing speed. Not until then did the piercing sound of the bolt drift into the ears of everyone else, shocking them. Zhang Tai's bolt was easily caught by him. Watching that blood stain on his hand, the leader's eyes shot out gleaming light. Raising his head, he cast his sight towards that hill where Zhang Tai lurked. Seeing this, Zhang Tai gradually stood up from underneath the rock mushroom and took a deep breath. Without any fear, he kept fixing his eyes onto that man. It was his first time seeing his hidden weapon, which was flying faster than sound, being grabbed by a hand. Zhang Tai estimated that the leader was at least LV-10. The two people's furious gazes collided in the air, with a distance of 50 m between them. Zhang Tai. That man squeezed out Zhang Tai's name with a cold expression. Standing on the hill, Zhang Tai smirked as he stretched out a middle finger towards that man. The corners of that man's eyes then twitched. Before the man issued any orders, the other guys had already surged towards Zhang Tai. If this man could grab Zhang Tai's bolt by hand when being ambushed, in face-to-face fight, no matter how many bolts he threw towards that man, it would a waste, but it would be different if he threw his bolts towards the others. Zhang Tai sneered. When those enemies were closer than 30 m, he shot out the second handbolt. This father doesn't think that another one of you can grab my sonic booming bolt by hand. If I saw a second one among you catch it, this father would escape away right now. Bang, one guy's head exploded like a watermelon breaking. Zhang Tai rapidly moved away to evade some bolts. While he was running, he kept throwing out his handbolts. He had thrown out 5 handbolts in 2 seconds. Bang, 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 bang. The front 5 people's heads were exploded consecutively 30 to 40 m away from him. In a split second, half of those people on that man's side were cleared. Nobody could have imagined that Zhang Tai's handbolts would be that terrifying. Compared with Zhang Tai's handbolts, those guys' crossbows were really too poor. Retreat. Realizing that his men could not even evade Zhang Tai's handbolts, that leader shouted furiously as he accelerated towards Zhang Tai. Zhang Tai then directly rushed towards him from the hill without any fear. They then collided in the air. Seeing that man punching him, Zhang Tai soared as he also punched towards that man. The moment their fists clashed, Zhang Tai felt an unstoppably powerful strength surging towards him. At the same time, he felt that his iron blood battle chi had fallen into a dark mire and was torn, melted, and engulfed by a strange strength. With only one move, the opponent's huge strength had already sent Zhang Tai fly backwards in the air. If he hadn't cultivated any fundamental movements, Zhang Tai would have been very embarrassed. However, at this moment, Zhang Tai made some beautiful rolls backward to counteract a greater part of the opponent's strength. As a result, he landed steadily 10 m away. Although he looked no different than before, Zhang Tai felt his throat warm blood surging upward and his chi roiling, yet the blood was swallowed back down by Zhang Tai. Compared to Zhang Tai's embarrassing appearance, that man just descended onto the ground steadily. A LV-10 powerhouse fighter? Zhang Tai watched that guy in black clothes in an extremely gloomy way. He had seen LV-9 fighters. He even had fought 2 LV-9 fighters today. However, this man in front of him felt much more powerful than those LV-9 fighters. Good. That man revealed a distant smile. If you surrender now, you can still live. Zhang Tai burst out a laughter. What he said next irritated the opponent so much that the latter almost spat out blood. Are you daydreaming? So what if you're a powerful fighter? You are in the Dragon Cave of Hidden Dragon Island. It belongs to Zhang clan. The powerhouses of Hidden Dragon Palace will arrive soon. By then, they will easily kill you like killing an ant. I urge you to surrender to me and flatter me. Perhaps then, I will save you. Hearing Zhang Tai's words, that man's face revealed his killing intent. Zhang Tai made him very uncomfortable. With a cold expression, he fixed his eyes on Zhang Tai. Although my primary objective is to take you away from here, if I can't, I can also kill you. Personally, I think I'd prefer to kill you. Hearing this, Zhang Tai's heart raced. Truly, as I predicted, this guy is much trickier than Lu Xiang. I really wonder which power is willing to take me down by assigning a LV-9 fighter and a powerhouse to me. That's really a great honor. Thinking of this, Zhang Tai then looked at that man's back with a surprised expression. Noticing Zhang Tai's surprised expression, that man naturally looked back, yet found nothing. However, at the same time, he felt a sharp chi reaching in front of his chest. Knowing that Zhang Tai's handbolt was unusual, he didn't dare to grab it directly by hand. Instead, he jumped away while patting Zhang Tai's bolt, causing it to change its flight path. As a result, that bolt hit a guy with crossbow 20 steps away, and penetrated through his chest, causing a shriek. When the leader looked back at Zhang Tai, he found Zhang Tai had already dashed dozens of meters away like an arrow. Haha, good shot. You don't need to put on such a performance if you want to kill your man by my bolt. Zhang Tai joked as he ran. You are dead. That man angrily gritted his teeth as he immediately chased after Zhang Tai. Look at my bolt. Zhang Tai shouted loudly. That man then hurriedly jumped out of the way. After changing direction twice, that man realized that Zhang Tai had not even thrown out a handbolt. Haha, you really are as timid as a rabbit. You actually want to catch me? Wait until your afterlife. In a short while, Zhang Tai had run dozens of meters away again. Being tricked by Zhang Tai twice consecutively, that man was really driven furious as he sped up to chase after Zhang Tai. Look out for my bolt. Zhang Tai shouted once again. Thinking that Zhang Tai was tricking him once again, he didn't evade at all. However, he suddenly felt a sharp chi close to his lower body. Being frightened a lot, that man realized that Zhang Tai had already shot another bolt towards the location under his left knee. He had no enough time to pat it away by then. Instead, he could only change his moving direction by jumping away. As a result, Zhang Tai's handbolt flew by his left shin. Although it didn't hit the right place, it bruised him, causing a hot pain on his shin. In such a short while, Zhang Tai had already gotten 100 am away in the twisting karst cave. I will kill you. That man growled with bloodshot eyes as he continued chasing after Zhang Tai. Chapter 329, Hunting. If he wasn't even brave to face the enemy, he would be a coward. When he knew that he couldn't defeat him, if he chose to fight with gritting teeth only to be caught or killed, he would be an idiot. With the exception of that time when he chose to sacrifice himself for his brothers in Iron Blood Camp, he would never be that foolish on dealing with other things. Zhang Tai was neither a coward nor an idiot. He was willing to fight. However, if he found that the opponent was far more powerful than he was and he could not get the anticipated result if he kept fighting the opponent, he would definitely turn back and escape without any hesitation, just like now. When escaping, Zhang was actually wounded inside due to the first round of fighting with that man in black clothes. Zhang Tai had ignited 13 surging points on his spine and officially reached LV7, however, that person was a LV-10 powerful fighter who had ignited at least 55 surging points. That man was truly powerful. at least for Zhang Tai. The distance of 40 surging points between him and Zhang Tai was like an abyss that Zhang Tai could not cross. This was not the right moment to fight him, even though Zhang Tai had formed Iron Blood Battle Chi and eaten a great number of fruits. Actually, Zhang Tai's performance had greatly shocked that man. Before seeing Zhang Tai, that man had never imagined that he could be wounded by some LV7 kid. What was more amazing was that Zhang Tai could slip away like a loach, staying out of his grasps for so long after wounding him. The super great endurance and speed brought by 9 Wild Wolf 7 strength fruits. The agility and the precise choice of each step after his enlightenment from one movement, one scenery. His physical potential after the ignition of 13 surging points and Iron Blood Battle Chi as the powerful top battle Chi was exerted to the utmost by Zhang Tai at this moment. The underground space where the huge centipedes lived was quite cramped and gloomy. In contrast, the karst cave was relatively spacious. The height of this karst cave only varied from just over 10 m to dozens of meters. Weird-looking rigged rocks could be seen everywhere. The karst cave was twisting and winding, which was totally different from the karst cave where he hunted the hellblack spiders last time. If the area above the karst cave where hellblack spiders lived could hold a huge city, then the size of this karst cave was as big as an animal's intestinal tract. Zhang Tai didn't know where this karst cave would lead to, he only felt that the icy killing intent was getting closer to him. That man moved much faster than Zhang Tai. The incredible ability of a LV-10 fighter was awe-inspiring. If not for the handbolts, Zhang Tai might have been caught by that man already. Each time Zhang Tai felt that man would catch him, Zhang Tai would shout loudly, "Look out for my bolt." However, Zhang Tai didn't really throw out a bolt sometimes, instead, he just frightened that guy. Other times, he actually threw out a handbolt. By then, that man had to change his moving direction or pat away Zhang Tai's handbolt. In this way, Zhang could extend the distance between himself and that man at critical moments. Zhang Tai kept running for over 20 minutes. Finally, that man found the right way to deal with Zhang Tai's trick. As long as Zhang Tai didn't turn around, that man would keep chasing after him. By comparison, the moment Zhang Tai turned around, if Zhang Tai threw out his handbolt, that man would change his moving direction and moved in the shape of a Z so as to evade Zhang Tai's hidden weapon. Seeing this, Zhang Tai also started to be anxious. When he turned around, he would slow down, which slowed him about as much as that man slowed when moving in the shape of a Z. In this way, the distance between Zhang Tai and that man gradually narrowed. Gradually, the distance between them narrowed from 100 m to 50 m. After running for over 20 minutes, Zhang Tai finally saw some people hunting huge centipedes in the underground karst cave. The 3 people were dissecting a huge centipede that they've killed. However, all Zhang Tai could only do was to shout loudly towards them, "Hurry up, escape in different directions." As Zhang Tai had flashed over them, the 3 people were still standing in the same spot. Seeing them still standing over there, Zhang Tai sighed and sighed as he knew that they'd lost any chance of survival. Several seconds later, 3 shrill shrieks drifted into Zhang Tai's ears. Zhang Tai turned around to find 3 heads flying in the air amidst a fountain of blood. As that man dared to hunt me in the dragon cave, he would definitely not allow any witness to live, because as long as those witnesses revealed it in the public, this man will not leave Hidden Dragon Island alive. Zhang Tai could see that man's cruel, sinister smile as he licked his lips. Mother ****. Zhang Tai was driven furious. Meanwhile, he threw out 2 more handbolts. By moving in a weird way, that man patted away the last 2 of Zhang Tai's handbolts from the first batch. "No more struggling, I promise you an easy death." After patting away the 2 handbolts, that man kept speeding up. F***ck, you be ****. Wait, this father will teach you a lesson sooner or later. Zhang Tai kept his head down and rushing forward. "Is that true?" the man ridiculed. "I'm afraid that you will not live to see that day." Zhang Tai had soon rushed hundreds of meters away from where those 3 were killed, as the distance between him and the man closed to less than 30 m. At the sight of an underground lake which covered more than 6,000 square meters, Zhang Tai became thrilled at once as he hurriedly dove inside. There were plenty of water resources in the underground world. There were various creatures in the water, some of which were even more ferocious than those on land. However, since Zhang Tai entered Hidden Dragon Palace, he had not heard about any dangerous creatures in the waters of the underground space where huge centipedes lived. That was why he dared to dive into the lake without any hesitation. The underground lake was crystal clear. When he dove inside, he could see clearly the shiny little fishes and floating water seeds. The moment Zhang Tai dove into the lake, the man arrived at the water's edge. Almost the moment the splatters left by Zhang Tai fell onto the water, that man's skin had turned red as he smacked onto the water with his fierce battle chi, aiming at Zhang Tai's back in the water. When he smacked the water, his battle chi formed into a black palm that had been amplified many times. As a result, a 10m high splatter splashed up like something exploding out of a torpedo. Soon after he dove down 10m, Zhang Tai felt the surrounding water became frozen while an incredible strength penetrated through the water and struck Zhang Tai on the back. Whoa! Zhang Tai immediately spat out a mouthful of blood in the water, tinting the surrounding water. When one reached LV8, many advanced battle chis would be able to hurt people without having to touch the opponent. When he was in the Iron Blood camp, Zhang Tai had seen Captain Reinhardt perform this using Man's certificate. On the training field, Captain Reinhardt released his battle chi and controlled Zhang Tai's Man's certificate to make a several meters long ditch on the ground with sword chi, which really shocked them. Zhang Tai had not imagined that the guy could be that horrible. If it hadn't been Zhang Tai, who had eaten a lot of iron body fruits, any normal LV 6 to 7 fighter would have been killed. Through this strike, Zhang Tai knew that he was too lucky when he collided that man in the air earlier and how smart he was by choosing escape. If this man had not underestimated my real power, he might have killed me in the first round. However, at this moment, although not having lain down, Zhang Tai knew that he had been wounded and could not move as easy as before. With the inertia of this strike, Zhang Tai dove another 20m. It was already more than 50m in depth. Zhang Tai soon arrived at the bottom of the water and found a hidden place to recover while gazing at the entrance of the water. Meanwhile, he started to think up some countermeasures rapidly. That man didn't follow him in. Realizing this, Zhang Tai slightly let out a sigh. At the same time, Zhang Tai also realized that that man must have learnt about how he was a yiksha in the sea. As he knew that Zhang Tai excelled at diving, he didn't dare to follow in. Zhang Tai admitted that that guy was much trickier than he had imagined. He was powerful, fierce, and cunning. Knowing that Zhang Tai's movement ability was greatly restricted in the water, he kept striking the water, attempting to seal Zhang Tai's fate. When he figured out the environment underwater, Zhang Tai started to cry inside.